So Frankie Vittorini, not Italian at all. It's good to have an Irishman join me tonight. Hey, thanks for jumping on. And we just had a couple of questions that came through. I'm going to do my best to read any ones that are directed towards you. All right.
Perfect.
So you are the co-founder, CEO of UStadium.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a soft pitch to that one. I lobbed that one over to you. That one. You have a long history. You're a career entrepreneur or serial entrepreneur for the most part. It's got you. It's running through your brain, your veins, and in your brain. Where did you start? How did the whole thing spark for you, even way before UStadium?
Yeah, it's a long story, man. But in a nutshell, I played football, high school, college, went to Colgate, and joined the entrepreneurial club. I actually started writing a screenplay when I was in college, trying to come up with something creative, unique. And post graduation, I linked up with one of my friends who was really an early influencer on Twitter, and that's Nick, who's actually a co-founder of UStadium. He's sort of like my right-hand guy. It's pretty much me and him. And we teamed up and we wanted to come together and build this blog, this sports blog. That was really like the initiation of our business relationship. And we came up with Flopping Out Sports. The goal there was we wanted to mix live breaking news that Nick was getting on Twitter, and we were recycling it and posting it on Flopping Out as sort of like a humor blog. But the goal of the blog was, is it breaking, A, and B, is it humorous? If we're able to give fans, users, breaking news that's humorous, we have a unique differentiation in the blogosphere market. A lot of the blogs were dry and just your normal everyday blog. None of them really differentiated from each other. But we were saying, if we can come up with blogs that are breaking fast and funny, then we have something different. So that's basically how it started. And then that sort of morphed into, let's build a platform where fans can create their own little blogs, make this sort of blogosphere platform. And that was really when UStadium was born. Actually, UStadium was actually born the night before our first official investment meeting. My father's actually good friends with Omar Minaya. Omar's a big wine guy. My dad's an importer of Italian products, so knew Omar. He's from Corona, Queens. I'm based right now out of Long Island City, Queens. So Omar and my dad's out of Flushing. So Omar was a friend of my father, got us this meeting, liked our blog, and the night before we were looking at the long-term future of UStadium, of Flopping Out at that point, and it really morphed into, why don't we create a platform, a tech platform? So we sort of went into this VC meeting the next morning we were pitching the blog, but also pitching this platform concept, and the meeting didn't go that hot, but that was really when we first started thinking outside of the media side of things into the technology side. So that's really when it started.
The light switch went off from being content creators to really understanding the value of an audience.
Yeah, the value of just technology is so special because it's infinitely scalable in many ways. I mean, when you're a content creator, a lot of it's coming from you. You're the show. The way you build a revenue model from there is really based on impressions and hits. And scaling is just based on your own sort of, you're your own entity, which is not to say is a bad thing. It's just different. We saw the value in technology and the ability to scale. More so, we looked at what it was doing for fans. It didn't really motivate us to wake up every day and do a podcast, or no pun intended, Rob, but to do.
Yeah.
I like your podcast. No, I'm just saying.
Thank you.
But we were writing 10, 12 stories a day, every day. And it wasn't something we were passionate about necessarily, but we had a lot of fans reaching out to us saying, hey, we want to create a podcast. Oh, hey, we want to create our own sports blog. How do you do it? How do you use WordPress? How do you use Blog Talk Radio and get it on iTunes? What's an RSS feed? So we had all these different fans reaching out to us, and we said, why don't we create a network where they can individually create their own brand and identity? And And that's the power of UStadium. It morphed more into a social gamified platform, which it is today. But that was really when after flopping out, was really when we said to ourselves, let's dive into this tech game and let's make the sports world more, tech based, which a lot of the products aren't. It was really our approach.
So now that you've kind of merged over into UStadium, what is your focus on right now? Is it just looking for the best content within each one of your, verticals?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's building filters, it's building ways of showcasing the best content creators on our platform. It's also finding a way to engage and link fans of various sports, not just NFL, which is where we're based today. So we're thinking about ways of how do we get NBA and MLB fans as excited on our platform as NFL fans are. Where do we start? How do we do that? What's the onboarding experience like? How do we build something that isn't so dependent on tremendous amounts of, let's say, marketing dollars to get these users? What can we do to make it fun? And then the gamified element sort of kicked in. So, congruent to that is this gamification component, which we've built, which is giving points to fans for various things. We actually today, 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago, just launched on iOS, and Android should be up in the next hour or so, the official UStadium store. You can use your points in UStadium to get, right now we have 2 items, the official UStadium hoodie. Rob, I got one saved for you.
Triple X.
And TickPick, who's our official ticket partner, they've given us a slew of gift cards, $100 off, $50 off. It's a great website. Service fees are zero. So whereas StubHub has high service fees, their service fees are zero. So if you want to catch a game, a concert, a theater play, you can use your gift card redeemable in UStadium using your points and or money. So you can get a $50 gift card. If you have $25 value in points, you can buy another $25 into the app, and you get a $50 off from their website. So we're working with, they're our first official affiliate partner in the app, and we're looking at Football Outsiders as another partner, maybe FanDuel, who we've worked with in the past, Pro Football Focus. So the store is a great opportunity for users to be able to redeem items for a heavily discounted rate, if not free, if they have enough points. So we're excited about that opportunity.
So just take a step back for a second, because I really want the folks watching to understand UStadium and what is different between what you're doing and everybody else out there. What makes you guys unique?
Yeah, what really makes us unique is the value that we give to a fan that has no clout, that really isn't engaged on other platforms, that is sort of looking for a place to become, let's say, a super fan, to engage and to build a brand around themselves. UStadium, we really value users based on their content, based on their expertise. We don't care necessarily about athletes and celebrities joining our platforms. That's not what we specialize in. Whereas Twitter and Facebook seem to go down that avenue of, you have clout, you're an athlete, you're a reporter, you're Adam Schefter, let's promote you. We want to promote great content. We want to, if you're able to predict over-unders for free and the Monday Night Football winner tonight, we want to give you points. We want to promote you. We want to push notify a piece of content that you've created to users. If you're a Jets fan and you did a great breakdown on Jamal Adams on why he's the best safety in the league, we want to send that out to Jet fans with your name on it. You're Jeff from, Florham Park. We want to send that out there. So we want to promote the fan for the quality and the expertise of their passion. The passion economy is something that I'm very bullish on. In a nutshell, it's a way for you to bring in revenue and resources yourself as through your passion. And sports fans are obviously on our platform very passionate, and we want to reward them in as many ways as we can. So, YouTube, and we spoke about this previously, Rob, YouTube did this originally and they killed it. They crushed it with it. They really nailed the influencer model. If you were on YouTube and you're an influencer and a content creator, they were sending you checks in the mail. And we want to do something similar. And Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter aren't really thinking in that department. They haven't done, I think, a good enough job of saying thank you and rewarding their best users. And we want to do that. We don't care, again, what clout you have before you get on UStadium. Everyone on UStadium starts from scratch, and we want to reward you for what you, the quality you bring in for what you've done on our platform.
So if I'm heavily engaged with the Jets, I'm a massive Jet fan. Well, I'm not actually, but let's just use it as an example. So I'm a Jet fan, and I'm posting content. I'm original content that I come up with. I'm engaged with other people's content. I'm making comments. I'm liking. I'm sharing that information. Is that how I gain points to be able to get rewarded with prizing?
Yeah, that's 50% of the battle. The other 50% is these live polls that are basically just like these free bets. Who will have the most yards tonight in Monday Night Football? Will Lamar Jackson score over under 2.5 touchdowns? In 1984, who led the league in passing? There are these live polls that if you get correct, if you get them correct, you get points for that also. Right. So 50% is content, 50% are these live polls that we have going on in the app, and you get your points doing those two things.
Love it. Love it. So people are always looking out for is there consistency on when you have the polls? Is it right before a game or?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. And actually today we just launched a play tab, which allows you to see all of the live polls that are going on simultaneously. Whereas before today, we had them sort of dispersed throughout the various team stadium rooms that we had. Right now, you can go and you can see them. So if you go on UStadium on your iOS app and Android in the next hour, you can click on play and you can see a live feed of all of the live polls that you can predict. Once they are expired, the poll is up after the 2 hours or when the Monday Night Football game starts. All the polls will be closed for Monday Night Football. And whenever they're expired, if they're not Monday Night Football related, and after the outcome is set, you'll get a push notification on whether or not you got that poll right or wrong, and then you'll see points on your profile. So,
got it.
Yeah,
got it. Beautiful. So if anybody out there, if you have any questions for Frankie right now on his platform or being an entrepreneur, just type it in the comments below, and I'll read them off to him. But talk about your challenges. What challenges have you had with UStadium that you guys have, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. The biggest challenge I think is for us was, or it still is, I always say this, you want to find a way to keep your team, keep your investors, keep your advisors excited. Momentum every week, every day, every hour, you need to find a way to get everyone excited, including yourself. What can you do? What is next? How do you keep this fun? How do you keep the energy there? I didn't start UStadium, or Nick and myself, we didn't start UStadium, or our team. We don't do UStadium to sit in an office and be, quote unquote, be miserable about what we're doing. We want it to be fun. It's going to be hard, so we don't expect it to be easy. But how do you keep things exciting? That's how you build a product. That's how you get fresh ideas. We've had people coming in that after a certain amount of time, they weren't excited anymore, whether it was because of the product, whether it was because of whatever reason. And it's hard to either figure out how to keep them excited and build that momentum, or sometimes you have to let people go and seek better opportunities for them. So it's always a fine line as to how do you keep the team moving forward when resources are limited. For the most part, you're competing. UStadium, we're in the same phone as Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I mean, why is a fan going to click on our app versus those when they have, 200,000x the resource pool we have? So you always need to be thinking fresh and energized and make sure you have people that are doing that. And that's a challenge. That's it's like it's keeping the fuel just going, keeping the fire on. So that's always important.
Every day as an owner of a small startup, is a different experience, right? You never know what you're going to face. It's like being a firefighter.
Yeah.
Right. You're going in, you never know what alarm's going to go off. You don't know where the victories are or the losses are, or, it's you're the first person I ever heard say that. Every day, every hour, you just got to keep something that's going to even energize yourself. So how would you do that? And so let me ask you this question. I asked you this before and I caught you off guard, but now that you've answered it once for me before on our podcast, what would you do with $2 million? If $2 million just showed up tomorrow, right? And you knew that that's what you needed to get into 2020 and to really scale your business, what would that look like for you guys?
Okay, my answer is going to change, Rob.
All right.
Okay.
I love it.
No, I'm kidding. I was going to say something funny, but I'm not going to say it.
Run.
So this really nice island off of Mexico. I'm not
right. Yeah. You Island.
Right. No, consistent with what I told you last time. I do think the soccer market in Europe, overseas, is a big opportunity for us. I do know that a lot of fans in the soccer market are not habitually using the Twitters, the Instagrams of the world, the Facebooks to engage with other fans. They're still doing it in clunky ways. They're still going to their local coffee shop or doing some sort of forum website that they have that's pretty outdated. So we think that's a great market for us to dive into. Soccer is really a legion, has a legion group of fans and maybe the most legion in the world. So they're very community based, which we like. They're localized. So if you're from Napoli, you're from Naples, you're going to love the Napoli soccer team. So finding ways of keeping those communities engaged and keeping those communities connected is really something we'd like to go into. So I would definitely spend money on market research. I would definitely look at hiring internal product developers and marketers to really dive into those community markets and see how do we build technology here to address that issue potentially, and how do we build a product lines and features that tailor to that market. So that's what I would definitely do. I'm a big believer in the soccer market, and I think it's something I really want to dive into with this team. So
yeah, I think one thing you may want to do too, and just a suggestion for you as far as research, you might want to reach out to NYU or one of the schools of sports management to help you with that research. St. John's out there is a great sport management school as well at Delphi. So
okay, yeah, and we went to that conference too at NYU, and that school is perfect, I think, for us. And St. John's actually around the corner. So yeah,
there you have it. Yeah. So anyway, so what advice? You've been an entrepreneur now for a number of years, and you've cut your teeth doing it, and take a drink of water.
Yeah.
There you go. Hydrate. You need to hydrate on this one.
Oh yeah.
So what advice would you give to anybody coming out? It's an incubator, someone who's never been in a startup before environment. What are things that you learned that you wish you knew that someone gave you that advice, 5 years ago?
Yeah. Question back. Do you want me to make this very specific to UStadium and the building of this product, or do you want me to answer it in a more general sense of?
No, yeah, UStadium. So
okay,
what now, yeah, what would you have changed?
Okay, got it. What I would change is this. Nick and I are, for the most part, non-technical co-founders. I'm more technical than Nick. Nick's more on the PR marketing side, but we're not developers. I'm not a programmer. I would have, and we addressed it later on. If you're building native mobile apps, so you're building a native iOS, Android app, you're building a standalone website through JS or Node, however you're building it, you want to make sure you have a technical co-founder in-house. You want someone that when it's 1 a.m. and something crashes and you have to go to Google Cloud Council to figure out what the crash is and restart your server, you need someone that can do that. So you want a technical co-founder in-house, not only for building, but for doomsday emergency situations. We brought on Sonny later on, and that was the best thing we did. We went through a slew of CTOs, and none of them were really cost effective. And Sonny, we found, and he was very good. You want to make sure that you find someone that is by you arm in arm if you're a non-technical co-founder. Now, if you can't find that person or you don't have the resources to, build a website. Nothing wrong with it. Start with a website. Don't start with an app right away. got too many intrinsic details. It's too finicky. There's a lot of testing involved. There's a lot of development. There's so many screen sizes with Android. You have 500 different resolution images you need to upload. I mean, start with a website. So if I could go back and let's say we didn't want to go through this dance with these 5 CTOs that are, some of them are 10 grand a month, you know, when you start with them. So start with a website. We should have started with UStadium.com, see what sort of traction you can get there, build up there, because you can always access that through a phone. And for the most part, people still, sports fans specifically, actually still use the web heavy for content consumption and creation. So if I could go back, being non-technical and not wanting to go through the CTO dance, start with a website first. Don't start building an app yet.
Awesome. How about with raising some seed capital? Would you suggest friends and family? Would you do a crowdsource, or would you go straight towards VCs and angels?
Yeah, good question. So I think crowdsourcing works best when you have an actual product, you have something you're shipping, something that's in a user's hand that is tangible. Mm-hmm. For us, it was a little bit tough because you're supporting us, but what are we really giving you? You're supporting the development of something in 6 months, and then once that's developed, what do you get for being an early contributor? So there really wasn't something there. It's cool when you have, let's say, t-shirt lines. Hey, if you're an early contributor, we'll send you the limited edition logo on our t-shirts because you're one of the first. So there's certain things that I think do better with crowdsourcing than, let's say, a tech sports product. I do think reach out to angels, set up an angel list account, get LinkedIn going, get people to write you recommendations and to endorse you. Start doing that dance, because that's really what you're going to have to do when you're raising your Series A or your second seed round or your Series B. So get on LinkedIn, get on angels. Friends and family, we didn't really do. How we did it was we started reaching out to these angels through LinkedIn and Angel List, sort of became friends with them along the way. And then they ended up investing for the most part. So it wasn't a strictly entrepreneur to angel relationship. It wasn't really a friends and family. It was sort of a hybrid of both. I think that's good. I think it's good because for 2 reasons. I think it builds good relationships with the earliest angels and your earliest investors that understand you and actually genuinely like you. They're not just looking at you as a dollar sign in the future. They actually care about you. So a lot of our angels today weren't our friends, weren't connected with us prior to starting UStadium, but they've built a liking, a friendship with Nick and myself. So they'll go out of their way to deal with our crap, or we said we're sending an update tomorrow and we took an extra week or whatever. They understand that. Going strictly the angel route to start a VC, they're going to expect you to be on the nose with everything, which they should. But when you're first starting out, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you want to give yourself a little leeway. So if you can do friends and family, I think that's great. But it's always good to get in there, start going after angels, because you're going to be expected to do things with an angel and a VC, not a VC yet, but an angel that you won't with your friends and family. And it just gets you used to what the process will be later on.
Talk a little bit about then with a partner. Obviously an angel and an investor is important because you have to find the right one, right? That, like you said, that you actually like, that's going to help you. It's just not going to be stroking a check to you and then asking, when are we going to see the returns on it? Someone's actually going to get their hands dirty with you. But talk about the relationship with a partner, because that could be tricky too. What kind of conversation and what advice would you give to people who are out there starting up that has a best friend, a partner, or spouse as a business partner? What are those things that you need to talk about earlier on?
Yeah, for sure. I think there needs to be, and Nick and I did this early on, there needs to be an understanding that this is a business conversation. So if I'm ticked off with Nick or he's ticked off with me and we want to get something off our chest, it's going to happen. It's going to happen 1,000 times. Say, hey, I used to say this to Nick verbatim. Hey, Nick, I'm putting my business hat on. Bam. Our 20-year friendship or 15-year friendship, whatever you want to call it, does not matter right now. Putting my business hat on. Don't take this personal. Hit him with it. I don't like the fact that we didn't email back this user or whatever. This is ridiculous, whatever you're going to say. You need to have those those boundaries. When you try to be too friendly, it doesn't work. When you try to be too businessy with friends, they start taking it personal. You want to set a line. This is a business conversation. And we literally worded to each other, hey man, this is my issue, business hack that's coming on, bam. And now we sort of understand when those conversations are happening. And you have to do things like, if I want to get on a business call with Nick and not make it friendly at all, I say, hey, Nick, I'm sending you an invite through the conference line. Nick knows conference line's business. If I call him on his cell at 7 p.m., hey, we'll BS about whatever for a bit, and we'll have more of a casual conversation. So when you start a business with a friend, a partner, a spouse, I think you have to make that clear. There's a fine line between a friendship and a business relationship, and you want to make sure that you understand both those. And you cannot, and Nick was great for me because he never took it personal, never on the business side. And I can be a little rough. I can be a little loud and aggressive at times.
Really? That you don't seem that you don't seem that way at all, Frankie.
No, he never did. He never did. I mean, I can tell you a crazy story. Before UStadium, we were doing a show. And Nick just didn't – the show was sort of losing its steam, Flight 5. It was a Jets show, and Nick was supposed to be in studio for something. He wasn't there. I was ticked off. I drove to his house, opened his door, started pretty much screaming at him. He was with his girlfriend he was dating, don't ever do that again. This is crazy stuff, but this is stuff that happens in business when you care. Right. So, Nick has said stuff to me before that you can't make it personal. He never did. I never did. That's very, very important. I've tried to work with friends and even family members after the fact. Nick was good for me. It's someone that has to relate well to your personality, or else it's not going to work.
Do you guys find that, you said it before, you're more of, sales and marketing?
I'm definitely more
your operations.
I'm more product dev and with the techies and a bit of sales, but more on the product development side. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick, did you naturally find those, those traits, or was it something you started working together and you figured out, hey, Nick, you're better at this and I'm better at the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick was good with, Nick's good with the initial outreach. Nick's, it's like a warm intro. Nick's great with that. Builds great connections on LinkedIn. And that's why, if we go back, what I was saying earlier, Nick was early on Twitter. Nick met a ton of athletes on Twitter early. The way he words things, the way he tweets, the way he DMs, I don't know what it is, his demeanor. People love him at first. So he gets that initial warm intro. And then if we're raising money, I'll come in and I'm more of the X's and O's, product dev. What are we doing? Where are we going? And what do we need? And sort of like the closer on the money side. So we work well in that respect. And I'm not as good at the warm intro, but he's also not as good at the closing of a deal potentially. So we work well together in that regard. It works.
Yeah, you have to find that perfect match, right? It's hard to. It's really hard, and you're right. You can never take anything personally. It has to be about solutions, right? And addressing the problem. I know us in the Northeast, we kind of, it's a natural thing for us to attack people, and make it personal. It's not like that the rest of the country. Maybe over in Russia, not here. Frankie, it's always a pleasure, man. This actually, I got to tell you, this show is better than our first one.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't feel that way?
No, I do. You know what? The first one helped me too, because it sort of helped me be more concise with, I think, what I was saying. But no, I agree. This was really good.
No, I mean, it's different when you're trying to pitch your business than when you're getting interviewed about your business.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because you got a flow going. And people could pick up on the energy and the passion that you have on it, and you explained it well enough. I think we all get it.
Yeah, for sure. And
so, how do people reach? I'm gonna post it here, but I'll edit it in. But as a live, how do people reach you?
Yeah, it's easy. It's my first initial. It's F, and then it's just at UStadium.com. So it's quite simple. It's funny because everyone thinks it's F at U, like it's a joke, like F you, but it's F at UStadium.com. Reach out. You can always tweet us at UStadium or Instagram at UStadium. Shoot us a DM. I'll see it. If it comes through, I'll look at it, I'll respond. So I try to be good with that too. If someone reaches out about something, I try to get back to them and engage in some way. Yeah.
Great. Well, Frankie and UStadium, you guys are going to be down at the SportsBiz Startup Weekend in Orlando in January 2020. We still have openings now for others. Not many more spots available. That's going to be January 23rd, 24th. Frankie and UStadium are going to be down there. It's going to be Pro Bowl weekend. The PGA has their golf show that weekend as well. So there's a lot happening in Orlando, including us being down there. So go to gameplanu.org to find out more information about it. Apply, register. It's open for startups, startovers, and career seekers. We're going to have a whole panel of entrepreneurs coming down to give a little bit more of a workshop, Q&A. So it's going to be educational, and these guys are going to be able to pitch their business to some investors. So, Frankie, thank you so much, buddy, for being on.
You are the man, and I will be there in my Jamal Adams Jets jersey.
Wow.
So you can find me there in that one.
You're a brave man. You're a brave man. So that's it for everybody. Thanks again. Next Monday night, we'll be back at 6 p.m. We'll answer your questions. We'll allow you also to call in on the show and ask us anything we want. Anything you want, anything we want, you'll be ordering dinner for me. So SportsBiz Radio, that's Frankie. This is Rob. We'll see you again next time.